We're reading Elastices. Let me tell you something. So far in this book, the only thing that I can say for fact is this preacher this preacher's vanity, and he's putting it on the world. That's exactly what he's doing. I said in my heart. How about chapter 1, verses 12? And I set my heart to seek and search out wisdom concerning all that is done underneath heaven, or under heaven, the burdensome task God has given to Son of Man. Who said God gave this task to him? Just because he's a preacher did God come to him and say this? What a burdensome task you have put on yourself, sir. I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with mirth, therefore enjoy pleasure. And the only wisdom I see so far is the definition of what wisdom is not. And I'm only up to chapter 6. When this preacher talks about leaving his labors to another that hasn't labored for it, and that is vanity. Sir, I think you're completely missing the whole point of what building a legacy is. So, leaving your works to someone would be rooted in the meaning of it, not necessarily an inheritance. If you want a legacy, the values you built upon your what you stand for, that should be maintained. This person's problem is they have no meaning. What he does, his assets, don't comfort him because he's missing the whole point altogether. He's missing the point of what a legacy is. Like, where does he? I don't see this man talk about the meaning of his work at all. Or is it a man? I believe it's a man. It's a preacher, right? The son of David, king in Jerusalem. Chapter 3, verse 12. What's best for the people is to show them what a personal relationship with God looks like and encourage them to forge one for themselves. God knows what's best for each individual, not this flippin' priest. And then chapter 5, verses 8. Whom do I deprive myself of good? What kind of statement is that?
Whom do I deprive myself of good? Whom do I deprive myself of good? Whom do I deprive myself of good?
Deprive myself of good. So that's like not choosing yourself or being in an environment where you're not valued. Deprive myself of good. I'm not. What is the sentence? What? Elastices may be a short chapter here. I'm going to do it in 2 parts because I feel I need to do a little bit more digging into this. I praise the dead whom are already dead, more than the living who are still alive. Aren't we supposed to value life and who knows the spirit of the Son of Man, which goes upward, and the spirit of the animal, which goes downward of the earth. So he's making a comparison of how we are like animals. We are nothing like animals. We have a consciousness, we have thoughts, we got disposable thumbs, okay? Not only that, we have language, we have thought, we have individuality, we have feelings. Don't get me wrong, animals have feelings too. We are very much like animals, but there is a slight separation. And what connects us is authenticity and love. But they are more instinctual, as in where we live more in our mental body. We could be as instinctual as animals if we wanted to tap into that. But that's a choice. You know, the one thing that does transcend through plants and all of life is love. So if that was the one universal thing, a bond, love, which affects everything, don't you think we should focus more on the one universal thing that transcends and maybe not so much on the monetary things? Because that's what doesn't go with you. And this preacher is doing a lovely job of projecting his insecurities of where he feels he's fallen short. Because you see, to be in a position where I have plenty, the last thing on my mind is dis-ease. The last thing on my mind is talking about how the poor are poor because God keeps him busy with the joys of his heart. No, if I have plenty, I'm going to be thinking, how do I get them to have plenty within themselves? I'm thinking, my plenty, yes, I've achieved plenty, but everybody can achieve plenty. So, how do I share the wholeness of my heart and the meaning that I have created inside of my heart? How do I allow, how do I get, how do I be an example of the wholeness that they can have in their heart? And not only that, but how do I encourage them to want to reach that? How do I learn how they learn? How can I see from their eyes and encourage them to see their own strength so that they can be plentiful in their life? Not so much of thinking it's justified that God wants it this way. No, no. If I have lots, if I'm whole in my heart, I should be sharing that. And that doesn't mean that I have to give away what I have, but that means that every interaction that I have, the meaning that I transcend from my heart, I carry on and I show a piece of what it's like for them to obtain for themselves, because I'm not going to be their hero. They're their own hero. God needs to show them their path. And who am I to tell them what their path is going to be? The only energy entrusted should be God. Because I'm not, could not, will not try and tell anybody what their right path is for. Because that's not for me to decide. If anyone tried to tell me what my right path forward was, it would have been a good old, middle finger. And I would have went on my merry own way, just like I did growing up. And here I am, because I entrusted in God to show me my path. I highly disagree with this preacher, and I will say it out loud. I don't feel he carries any wisdom. If anything, I feel he's a big fool for thinking he has any wisdom at all. But that's just my opinion, though. On the next one.